All right, so Dricus Du Plessis just beat Sean Strickland, and on the history of the channel, we are 3 for 3 in UFC predictions for main events, and obviously we thought that Du Plessis was going to win, but we didn't think it would be in this fashion. He out-pressured Sean Strickland for 5 rounds.
I definitely thought it was going to be a Dricus Du Plessis blowout. It was far more competitive than I thought. Sean Strickland's jab is pretty insane, and obviously his defense is incredible, and he showed it again just like the Adesanya fight. But Dricus Du Plessis brought a lot of things that Adesanya couldn't bring to the table. The striking, ironically, you would have thought that Adesanya would have brought the striking to the table, but Du Plessis was hitting him with great left kicks. I think the left kicks were incredible in this fight. It's probably one of the standouts for me. Great left body kick, and even to the head initially, but towards later in the fight, it was typically the left body kick. And then those blitzes and getting Sean Strickland to back up. Sean Strickland definitely is a front foot fighter, and he seems to lose a lot of what makes him great when he goes on his back foot.
Yeah, it's the only difference between Adesanya and Du Plessis' fight versus Strickland was just the pressure. If Adesanya had pressured him, obviously he's a superior kickboxer, so if he just pressured a little bit more, he could have done more against Sean Strickland because, again, he's the superior kickboxer, but Du Plessis was landing the kicks, and his blitz was the key to success. A lot of Strickland strikes, I want to address this quickly because a lot of Strickland strikes were arm shots and shoulder shots, and Du Plessis would go in his guard and he would land there. So I feel like it was overrated in a lot of senses. I had Du Plessis winning 2 through 5, so I was surprised that even one of the judges gave it to Strickland. I would assume it's Sal Diamato because he's a horrible judge, but I was surprised by that.
Yeah, there seems to be a trend where when fighters throw a lot and the other fighter typically goes in their guard, that they score it for them. A great example of this is Josh Emmett versus Calvin Kattar. Josh Emmett was just throwing haymakers at his arm, but because it makes a big impact, people think that it lands versus, like, I don't know, doing a block like that, which you're not supposed to do, or a lot of the times just like parrying is different than when actually like hitting your guard because it makes a big noise. But for some reason, people call that as significant strikes. They would show the significant strikes mid-fight, and it would be like Sean Strickland was doubling him, which was just incredible. It was very, very strange. But overall, I did like this fight. The first 4 fights were just terrible, but this last fight, very competitive, very high level. Dricus Du Plessis, when you look at him, he doesn't seem like a great fighter. He seems very unorthodox. He doesn't have the best technique in the world versus someone like Adesanya, who's pretty much textbook. But I mean, the guy is a great fighter, and he's just relentless.
Yeah, like you were saying, that he just looks ugly, so a lot of people were saying that Strickland would beat him just because of that. And the amount of people who called us casuals for picking Du Plessis to win was crazy.
Oh, people called us casuals?
Yeah, some people called us casuals in the comments, and obviously we got it right. But what showed a lot was Du Plessis' mindset, because I don't think his cardio is that good. But he won the championship rounds 4 and 5, which he'd never been to prior, which showed that his cardio is a lot better with the nose fix, but his mindset's absolutely insane because he goes in there and he will literally die when he gets in there. I think he's one of the few fighters that actually says that and means that, and that helps him a lot later in fights where what it turns out to be he needed both of those rounds, maybe just one, but could have needed both of those rounds.
Yeah, he could have, and Sean Strickland definitely surprised me with just, obviously his defense was incredible, but his striking was obviously very good as well. But his ability to stand back up from takedowns, I definitely thought that the takedowns would have played a larger factor in this fight, but because he was able to just stand back up, it definitely didn't play as much of a role. But Dricus Du Plessis just does a great job mixing up his strikes, and I think that was a big difference in the fight, was that Sean Strickland obviously has the boxing, but he doesn't mix things up. Du Plessis throws a lot of kicks. He even would throw kicks to Sean Strickland's right leg. Like, Strickland would throw like a teep, and then he'd like sweep it and then kick that leg. I mean, Dricus Du Plessis just, he doesn't think about landing only to the head or the body or the legs. He just mixes it up. He's a great fighter, and I definitely am struggling to see who beats him right now. The mentality he has, and ironically he does have a kickboxing background. As much as it doesn't look like he does have a kickboxing background. But I struggle to see anyone that beats him. He mixes things up, and like you said, the mentality is there for him. He's willing to die in that octagon, and he just keeps on putting the pressure. I mean, if you're able to back up Sean Strickland, then you're obviously a very good fighter.
Yeah, and Sean Strickland had the jab, but not until the later rounds was he landing the backhand more. But Sean Strickland just had the jab, and I think a big thing that mattered in the fight was Sean Strickland was throwing but he wasn't landing. He was landing, like we were saying, to the arms and to the guard of Du Plessis, but he was trying to land with everything he threw. Du Plessis wasn't trying to land with everything. He was just throwing stuff in Strickland's face to keep him going backwards, and it was a great game plan from Du Plessis, and I think that's what helped him win and I'm excited to see what he does in the middleweight division.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that it was even a split decision. I thought that Dricus Du Plessis obviously won. That's why when I heard it was split, just with the arm shots, I can kind of see maybe if a judge mixes it up because the arm shots are scored for some reason. But I do want to see Dricus Du Plessis fight Adesanya next, as much as he doesn't deserve it. I think that Sean Strickland probably deserves a rematch, to be honest, because of how close the fight was. And the fact that there's no real #1 contender, I mean, Chimaev is the #1 contender, but Chimaev doesn't deserve it. And then Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker are fighting, but Robert Whittaker just came off a loss to Du Plessis, and Paulo Costa just winning once against Robert Whittaker wouldn't be enough for a title shot, in my opinion. So I think he either fights Adesanya or runs it back with Sean Strickland, but I think that the Adesanya versus Dricus Du Plessis fight would be very, very interesting.